Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're crushing morning miles or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.
Running a business means checking a lot of boxes.
Let's see. Payroll? Check. Inventory? Check. Insurance?
Good thing Simply Business makes getting small business insurance fast and easy. Check insurance off your list at simplybusiness.com.
The True Crime Society podcast contains adult themes and violence and is not intended for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. And if you'd like to skip the intro or move to any specific part of the podcast, please refer to the timestamps listed in the episode description. Thank you. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the True Crime Society podcast with Stephanie and Olivia. It is July 24th, 2025. Keeps here in my lap. She was just screaming on Patreon for a little bit, but she's calmed down a little bit for now. The weather, I have to mention the weather because we just got a comment, which I guess we could talk about as my listener of the week, encouraging us to talk about the weather. I was just getting it out. Other weather fans like to hear us talk about the weather. So the weather here is friggin' hot, humid, disgusting. I'm very just like not pleased with the weather overall. It is so humid and so hot. What about you?
Like I say this every single week, but today was absolutely the coldest day we've had this winter. When I got in the car this morning, there was heaps of ice on the windscreen. I actually took a photo and it was 2 degrees. So zero is freezing here. 2 degrees. So like even though I was watching the news last night, they're like, tonight is going to be an exceptionally cold night. It's been quite mild during the days, but overnight it was absolutely freezing.
So 2 degrees for you. That is cold. That's 35 degrees here.
Yeah. It doesn't usually at night it drops to around 8-ish, which is, I'll just look it up.
46.
Yeah, so usually it's like that's about the coldest it will get where I live. But yeah, last night was freezing.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty cold for you.
It still gets like during the day, it still gets to like 68, 70. It's still quite warm during the day, but that was very, very cold.
Speaking of the weather, which is just like things outside, which is turkeys in my yard, I literally was just in my kitchen before and I was getting a napkin to eat an empanada. Not that that matters to the story, but I look out my window and the turkeys are fighting. There are 2 male turkeys, I'm guessing. Literally, one has the other one's face in its mouth. And they're standing like up and like fighting as like you would think like like giraffes or like kangaroos would fight, like locked. I pick giraffes and kangaroos.
Turkey off.
Or like how things with antlers like fight and they get like stuck. So then I was like, Mike, the turkeys are fighting. One has the face of another one in its mouth. He was like, what are you talking about? So he goes and looks and he went outside and he's like trying to kind of like clap and like break them up or something. And they weren't. They did not give a fuck about us being outside. And so Mike's like, Google it. Like, are they stuck? Like, do we have to do something? I was like, I don't think they're stuck. And he's like, that turkey's whole head is in that other turkey's mouth, like in its beak. And then there's another turkey just watching. And I was like, maybe that's the girl that they're trying to impress. So I Googled it and it says that that's like a thing that turkeys do for alpha male status. And they could do it for days. This one turkey's head could be in this other turkey's mouth for days until they either give up or like one dies.
I guess it's like when I don't know, deer or stag or whatever the animal is, we don't have them here, so I don't know, but when they lock horns, they do that to kind of assert their dominance over the other ones.
That's what they were doing. And I was like, well, get out of my yard. I don't need to see any of you die, please. So eventually they did wander off, but like still locked together. It was just so weird. So if
and
you
they
ever
can
see
start that
turkeys
for
doing
days.
that, I
How
guess
weird.
they do that. Yeah. I was like, listen, I don't care about your alpha male bullshit. Get it out of my yard. So yeah, just the animals are acting up, probably because it's so hot out.
Yeah, maybe everyone's wild. I feel like the heat does make everyone go a bit crazy. The cold makes everyone, like everything and everyone hibernate and stay inside, and the heat makes everyone go wild and crazy.
Yeah, it's true. I always try to like decide whether I think there's more crime in the summer or like the winter. Because in the summer it's like so hot that I feel like crime doesn't happen because people don't want to go outside. But then in the winter, I'm also like people don't want to go outside. Depending where you live, like it gets really cold here. Like I don't want to go outside.
Yeah. I feel like there has actually been a lot of stuff happening here. So my theory is always that it happens more in summer, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think so too, because I feel like the heat makes you more irritable, whereas the cold makes you more like frozen.
Yeah, I think so too. Like it's easier to kind of warm up than it is to cool down sometimes. What's happening with me? Not too much. Same old. All my kids will be back to school next week after the winter break, which I don't know. I feel like it's gone quick. I'm kind of dreading getting back into routine, but I guess it has to be done. Only another 10 weeks and then we'll be off for another break. But yeah, not too much happening. Same old. Got a busy weekend. In my family, we have 5 birthdays in July. So this is the last one today. And then I've got another friend's birthday on Sunday. It's just a month of festival party month.
Yeah, that's how June is for me. It's a big month with a lot going on.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the listener of the week?
Oh yeah. I feel like every single week. So our episode for Andrea Yates came out yesterday, about 20 hours ago. And when I wake up on a Friday morning here, I log on to Spotify for Creators and check all the comments. And I feel like every week we have been getting more and more comments, which I love because I love the discussion. We got a ton of comments already about Andrea Yates. People have very strong opinions on it. Someone actually commented and said, of course, you guys blame the men, and which I don't think we actually did in the episode. We spoke about everyone who was to blame because I feel like there were a lot of people who influenced Andrea. Obviously, she was the one who murdered the children, and I would say the majority of people agree that Rusty had some part in the, like, it's not like, you know, he went against doctor. Anyway, we're not going to get into it, but he went against doctor's advice. He left her alone. And when you're a couple, till death do us part, better or worse, all that. Like you're meant to support each other and care for each other. And you know, even one doctor said Andrea was the sickest person she's ever seen. So it's not like this was out of the blue. She was a very unwell person. So anyway, we had a lot of comments, which I enjoyed reading. We did have one comment from a male listener, and I feel like we are getting a few more male, like increasingly male listeners. This is a man called Richard. I'll read out his comment. He can be listener of the week. It says, Ari, the chat and banter. As a 52-year-old Englishman, I love your chat and I enjoy the first 15 minutes as much as the following 5. And just as a kind of add into that, it's not usually 15 minutes. Last week it was 13.5 minutes or something. Usually it's a little bit shorter. He goes on to say, I appreciate your sense of humor and illustrations of the ridiculousness of life in general. Also, don't get me started on your obsession with the weather. I thought it was just the British who are prone to mention it at every opportunity. Your intelligence, wit, and critical thinking is refreshing. There are some really thick podcasters. You are not amongst them. So that was very kind. And he also commented on a bunch of other things about the actual episode and that as well. So we really appreciate you guys taking the time to comment. Let us know what you think about the episode and the cases we've covered. Yeah, very, very kind.
Yeah, I really appreciated that comment, especially after I'm usually the one that gets called like dumb and stupid. I'm like, critical thinking, wit, me? And he's going to be like, I was talking about Olivia. So yes, thank you for all the nice comments. And we love seeing you guys comment on Spotify and stand up for us or even just like chat about the episodes. It's really cool to see all the interactions. So thank you guys. And if you haven't done it yet, check out the comment section on Spotify too. Another thing that's not meta.
Anything that's not meta. Reddit as well, which we haven't mentioned before. We're on Reddit, so come over there, get away from
Yeah, we're going to try to post on Reddit more. We have a subreddit if you give it a search.
Yeah, it's just True Crime Society, so it's very easy to find. Before we get into today's episode, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, Skylight. So I know you and I are in different hemispheres, so we have a little bit of different schedules, but I feel like we have just gone back to school here after winter break. I know a lot of our listeners are preparing to go back to school after the summer break. So we do have some similarities there. And I feel like going back to school, it can be so stressful, making sure you've got everything, trying to get back into routine. Like here over breaks, our routine basically stops. Like my kids' activities stop for a break, which is all really nice, but then remembering to get back into it, remembering what days they've got to be places, what they've got on. So if you're the same and you're managing your family's schedule across multiple calendars, crumpled school handouts, and scattered Post-it notes, we have a game-changing idea for you. Put it all in a Skylight calendar. The Skylight calendar was designed to help you manage all the chaos of your family life. Ditch the mental load of juggling everyone's schedules by putting it into one clear place. This all-in-one smart touchscreen calendar brings visual structure and color coding across your schedules, tasks, lists, and other family needs. And if you're like me, your kids love using it, so they can even set it up for you, makes it so easy. All you've got to do is look at it.
It's also really cool because it syncs seamlessly with Google Calendar, Apple, Outlook, and everything. Plus, with the Skylight app, you can instantly add or update schedules. There's even to-do lists, grocery lists, instead of holding the item in your head all day, which you will inevitably forget otherwise. Right now, Skylight is offering our listeners $30 off their 15-inch calendars by going to skylightcal.com/TCS. Go to skylightcal.com/TCS for $30 off your 15-inch calendar. That's skylightcal.com/TCS. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. We're going to be talking about the Humiston family. Some say the Humiston family, right? You were saying?
Yeah, I've watched a few videos because I would personally say Humiston, but I have seen one video that says Humiston. I don't know. It's one of those cases too, I think, that the media hasn't covered a lot because it does involve a minor alleged offender. So a lot of people haven't covered it as much, but I have seen it both ways. I would say it's Humiston based on my research, and the majority of videos say that.
So the Humiston family murders, we're going with Humiston. 5 members of the family were fatally shot, allegedly by the 15-year-old brother of the family. And one of the other children actually did survive and was able to escape and kind of go get help. And this happened in Washington State in October 2024. It does remind me of the Bever case in a way, because it was kind of the same thing where the girl was like able to escape and like try to get help, right? Or she tried to escape and collapsed.
Yeah.
The one girl lived.
Yeah, didn't she call?
Lived.
Yeah. There are definitely some parallels to that case.
From the very start, this case is such a tragedy. A family is shot and killed inside their home in the middle of the night. But 2 kids survived, and they're now telling very different stories about what happened.
Looking at multiple victims at this point.
This is being described by deputies as a family tragedy.
And this is a small, quiet neighborhood that doesn't see police activity. Probably there's not much drama that goes on around here. This is a very significant event.
Within days, the house itself becomes a big part of the story. How did a young girl escape when her parents and siblings were killed? And now investigators are saying a teenager is framing his dead younger brother. Then prosecutors aren't just making accusations against that teenager, they're also saying his defense attorneys misbehaved in the crime scene.
Are you alleging that at this time, when they went in, that this was a crime scene?
Yes, it is the crime scene. It will forever be the crime scene.
No, it wasn't the crime scene. It was the scene of a crime. Those are 2 different things.
There's a lot that needs to be sorted out about this case, starting with who is telling the truth.
So start with some background into the family because that is important. So Mark is the dad of the family. Mark was born on August 29th, 1981 in Marion, Ohio. He moved with his family to Texas in 1990. He attended Colleyville Heritage High School, where he played the trombone and was band captain. He was also an Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts of America. Mark obtained a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from the University of Texas, and after that, he moved to Seattle, where he met Sarah at the local church. Then Sarah, who is the mother of the family, she was born on November 17th, 1981, and she'd grown up in the Seattle area. She was known to be a talented musician and loved playing the piano and flute. She also sang in a jazz choir at Kamiak High School when she attended there. She graduated in 2000 and went on to study at the University of Washington. She was active in the Chi Omega sorority, and she was on the rowing team during her time there. She graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and she worked for a time at the Swedish hospital in Seattle as an oncology nurse. So the couple would have 5 children together, and we're going to name 3 of them. We aren't going to name the alleged killer, even though you could pretty easily find it online because he's still in the obituary of the family members.
And also in some court documents, his name is listed, but then other news agencies don't name him. I just feel like we don't need any more trouble. If you Google his name is out there, we just won't be naming him in this episode.
Yeah, so since he is a juvenile, that's why some haven't, but I think they want to try him as an adult maybe, but
yeah, they're debating, still currently debating whether or not he should be tried as an adult, which we'll get into, but yeah.
Yeah. And we're also not going to name the surviving sister to try to give her a little bit of privacy. So the other 3 children were Benjamin, who was born on May 29th, 2011. He was 13 at the time of the murders. Ben enjoyed being on the robotics team, and he loved playing chess. He also had musical interests and played both piano and guitar. He was said to have a great sense of humor and was known to be goofy. He loved playing outside with his siblings and also loved Lego. So it seemed like they're a very musically inclined family.
Yes, definitely.
Then there was Joshua, who was born on May 1st, another May, 2015. He was 9 at the time that he died. Josh loved jumping on the trampoline, building forts in the yard, playing Legos, and air hockey. He loved helping his mother in the garden. He also loved animals and enjoyed caring for the family's pets. Then there's Catherine, who was born on October 10th, 2017, making her 7 at the time of the murders. She was named after her grandmother, and her nickname was Katie B. She was said to have a vivacious smile, contagious giggles, and the biggest heart. Sarah described Katie as the cherry on top of the family. She loved coloring, artwork, watching birds, and helping in the kitchen. So Sarah ended up pausing her career to become a full-time homeschooling mother and a home manager. The family appeared to be pretty religious, with many memorials mentioning their religious beliefs. For example, this one says, Mark was a faithful disciple of Jesus Christ who placed God and his family before all else. Another says Sarah was a devoted follower of Jesus Christ, gifted homeschool teacher to her 5 children, and a faithful servant at her church. Ben was named in honor of both the patriarch and the faithful prophet of God's people. He was a devoted young disciple of Jesus Christ and deeply loved by his family. Another says, born on May 1st, 2015, Josh was named in honor of the fathers of the faith who entered the promised land. And then there's Katie. Katie loved her Lord Jesus Christ and enjoyed attending her family's church, Taylor Creek. So it seemed like religion was a big part of all of their lives. The Humiston family lived at 7715 Lake Alice Road Southeast in Falls City, Washington. It's a very lovely looking A-frame house.
Yeah, a lot of wood.
A lot of windows.
It looks basically like an enormous, well, when I say enormous, I know it's only 3 bedrooms, which we'll get into, but like a big cabin. It looks like it's very like expertly crafted, lots of wood, like wood staircases, wood joinery, wood, beams and things like that. Like it would have cost an absolute fortune.
It's giving lake house. I think it is on a lake, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So the listing says that it is a 4,000 square foot house on a 0.99 acre lot with 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. It last sold on July 8th, 2005 for $810,000. And based on Redfin's Fall City data, it's estimated that the home's value currently is $2,300,000. Most of the photos of the home have been removed online. There's still some that you can see, at least of the outside of the house anyways. Even just the outside is like, the yard is so nice. It's on the lake.
Yeah, it's very picturesque. The other thing I've seen a lot of comments on is that even though it does look like a beautiful, stunning house, it was only 3 bedrooms for 7 people. So,
I didn't think of that.
So there was a lot of comments.
The 2 girls shared a bedroom.
Yeah, and like I've seen like also that they did a $500K remodel in the years before the murders, so maybe they kind of mixed up the rooms a little bit, but essentially there was 7 people apparently living in this 3-bedroom house, which I know is not the craziest of cramped quarters, but for people who have money, like there's a lot of comments like, well, maybe they were living on top of each other. Like I don't know if I believe that, but it's just an interesting point that a lot of people seem to make online.
Yeah, it seems like it could definitely have, like, it's big enough for them to put more bedrooms in it.
Yeah.
The neighborhood was said to be quiet and a great place to raise a family. It was the type of place where nobody locked their doors and the local children could be seen riding their bikes together. The Humiston children were said to be polite and generally well-adjusted. The family often attended community events and were well known in the neighborhood. We'll talk a bit more about the murders and leading up to that. So we're going to call the murderer A.
Alleged murderer.
Alleged murderer A, since we aren't going to say his whole name. There's also a very detailed article on this case by David Maiolo titled "The Humiston Family Murders, a Detailed Account of Events."
So the blog that is very, very detailed, there are some errors in it, which I found as I went along doing the research, and there's some criticism of the blog on, online forums, but it does have some base general good information. So what we've picked out of it is the information that we can verify with other sources. Like, I feel in some of it he gets people's names wrong and different things like that as well. So he does have photos of the house. Like, it's a good base blog, but I know there are some errors in it. So we've picked out the stuff that we can confirm as being true and correct.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to check that out, it'll be on our blog along with a copy of the affidavit. So this is from that article. It says, harbored growing resentment towards his parents and siblings. As the eldest of 5 children, A had responsibilities that he neither asked for nor embraced. While the younger siblings thrived in their homeschool environment, A saw his own academic performance decline steadily over the past year. Instead of addressing his difficulties head-on, A withdrew from his family and spent most of his time in his room, disengaged from their daily activities. So in the months before the murders, A was neglecting his schoolwork and was spending more time online and playing video games. Sarah also discovered that he was looking at pornography, and this discovery resulted in a confrontation between A and both of his parents, which, as we mentioned, they're pretty religious, and I think that goes against their religion, so I'm assuming the parents were very upset about finding this out. Friends of the family would later say that A felt like the black sheep and that he believed he was being unfairly targeted by his parents. It's believed that A started to form a plan to murder his entire family. He was the only one of the children who knew the combination to the locked gun box in the home, and that's where Mark kept his Glock pistol, which seems like...
I know, why are they bad child? Why does a 15-year-old need the code to the gun safe? I had a question about that as well, but yeah.
Especially when they're like having parenting issues and stuff like that with him. Like, maybe none of the children should know the code at all.
Absolutely.
Very early in the morning on Monday, October 21st, 2024, A put his plan into place. At around 4:30 a.m., he got the Glock from the lockbox. At 4:55 a.m., a call was made to 911 from the Humiston home. The caller identified himself as A and said that he just shot my whole family and committed suicide too. So clearly he's trying to blame a different brother. A told the dispatcher that Benjamin, who was 13 years old, had killed their family and taken himself out. A said that he was hiding in a bathroom on the main floor of the home. He also said that Benjamin may have snapped as he'd been caught looking at pornography on the night before the murders. A said that he called 911 around 10 to 15 minutes after the last shots were fired. At 5:02 a.m., another call was made to 911, but this call came from a neighbor of the Humistons named Bradley Denise. Bradley said that the 11-year-old Humiston daughter, who we'll call B, had arrived at his home and was ringing the doorbell over and over. B told the neighbor that her family had been shot and they were all dead. Bradley said that B had a possible gunshot wound and was bleeding from her neck and hand. She also told the dispatcher that A was the one who shot her family. B said that she had held her breath and played dead so that A would not shoot her again.
Running a business means checking a lot of boxes.
Let's see. Payroll? Check. Inventory? Check. Insurance?
Good thing Simply Business makes getting small business insurance fast and easy. Check insurance off your list at simplybusiness.com.
So when police arrived at the Humiston home, they found Mark, Joshua, and Catherine deceased at the bottom of the stairs. Benjamin was found deceased further down the hall, and Sarah, the mother, was found deceased in the master bathroom ensuite. B was taken to the hospital for treatment. She was well enough to be interviewed when she was there, and when she asked about what was happened, she started to cry. She told police that she and her sister Catherine shared a room and they had a bunk bed. Catherine was in the bottom bunk and B was on the top. She said that they were woken up by gunshots. B said that when she looked out of the bedroom into the hallway, she could see Joshua and her father laying in the hallway. She said that there was blood on her father's head and on Joshua's mouth. B saw Catherine get up and go into the hallway. B then heard another gunshot and Catherine fell to the floor. Just so traumatic for an 11-year-old, even for this little Catherine, the tiniest one.
I can't even imagine.
Oh, it's a massacre. Like, I can't even imagine the trauma that this 11-year-old child is going to have to deal with for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
A then entered the bedroom and shot her with the Glock. She said he shot her once or twice. One bullet hit her hand and her neck and she felt immediate pain. She said that A was wearing a checkered shirt at the time of the shooting. B also said that she heard someone shout, "Stop and help." B said that she saw A leaning over the bodies in the hallway, touching their necks and their chests to see if they were still alive. A entered B's bedroom again. She said she closed her eyes and held her breath as he stood next to her bed. Just the quick thinking of her to act and play dead when she knew, it's unbelievable that she was able to think that quickly after she'd been shot as an 11-year-old to know that she should play dead because that's what he wanted. He was checking that she was dead.
Yeah, that's what blew my mind too, through all the panic and adrenaline and being able to think, to play dead, to hide, then to escape and run and get help. So brave of her.
Yeah. A then left the room and went upstairs. B said she could hear him talking on the phone. B used what was called a fire window in her room to escape, and she ran to the street. She said when she ran past their house, she could see A talking on the phone. So this is probably around the time that he called 911, even though he said it was 10 to 15 minutes after the last shot had been fired. It seems like he was probably calling 911 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
B was asked if there were any issues at home. She said that A had gotten into, quote, a lot of trouble for failing school tests. On October 22nd, 2024, autopsies were performed on 3 of the family. Mark, the dad, was determined to have died from multiple gunshot wounds. He had 4 wounds, one to the left shoulder, one to the left armpit, one to the lower right back, and one to the back of his head. He'd also aspirated blood into his lungs. Joshua's cause of death was a single gunshot wound to the forehead. He had also aspirated blood into his lungs. Catherine, the youngest child's cause of death, was a single gunshot wound to the top of her skull. She had also aspirated blood into her lungs. Sarah and Benjamin had their autopsies conducted the following day, which was October 23rd, 2024. Sarah's cause of death was multiple gunshot wounds. One of the gunshots entered behind her right ear and exited her left cheek. She also had a penetrating gunshot to her left eye and eyebrow. This bullet got lodged in her head. Benjamin died from multiple gunshot wounds. He had been shot in his left cheek and one also behind his right ear. The second shot was fired at close range. So following the autopsies, police made this determination. They said, based on the evidence at the scene, the evidence discovered during the autopsy, and B's statements, it appears that A systematically murdered his mother, father, 2 brothers and sister, and attempted to murder his other sister. He then staged the scene prior to the arrival of first responders to make it appear that Benjamin had committed the murders and then killed himself. A then further perpetrated the false staging by repeatedly telling the 911 dispatcher that Benjamin was responsible for killing all of their family and then committing suicide. Based on the facts and circumstances listed above, I am recommending A be charged with 5 counts of aggravated murder in the first degree and 1 count of attempted murder in the first degree. So I feel like he was sloppy either way. They would have probably discovered, even if it wasn't for B's testimony. But she was so brave to be able to tell police while she was still in hospital what had actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I also feel like based on the autopsies that his parents were the main targets. I know one of the other children had multiple gunshot wounds. 2 of the children only had a single gunshot wound, whereas both of the parents were shot multiple times. So I feel like his anger was mainly directed towards his parents.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have been able to tell that it was him from all the things you said. I'm sure there was probably online searches. He can't be that smart. He is a kid, for one.
Yeah.
And I think it's just pretty obvious, like, who it would have been. But her being able to tell them all of that definitely made it a lot easier.
So as we mentioned, police believe A tried to stage the scene to make it look like Benjamin was the perpetrator. He put the Glock into Benjamin's hand, even though this was stupid because police and investigators would find no gunpowder or blood transfer on Benjamin, and the angle of his gunshot wounds did not align with them being self-inflicted. So a sloppy plan.
Mm-hmm.
According to the blog we mentioned earlier, that author believes that Sarah heard the gunshots, the mother, and locked herself in the bathroom. A is alleged to have kicked open the bathroom door and found Sarah hiding near the bathtub. There's a photo of the bathroom online. It looks kind of like a spa-type low bathtub. There's not really anywhere else she could have hidden in the bathroom. I do have doubts about why that person thinks that, or why. Like, as a mother, I feel like the last thing I would do if I heard gunshots would be to run and try and hide. If my children were in the house, I feel like I would be going to the children. Maybe she saw that they were all dead and ran and saw that he was coming with the gun and ran and tried to hide, but I don't know.
She was trying to call for help as like a last resort, but also how would they even know that she heard them and was trying to hide? Like maybe she was just happened to be in the bathroom.
Yeah. Like it was, I guess, 4 or 5 a.m. or around early in the morning, but again, she could have been in the bathroom still at that time.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe she thought it was like a intruder. Maybe she thought intruder, but then again, like you said, like you would just leave your kids to.
Like I would understand if a child was found in the bathroom because as a child your instinct would be to hide, but as a mother, I just can't imagine hearing gunshots and my instinct. Like I know it's fight or flight and all that, and you don't know what you do in a situation, but I just think as a mother, I would never. Even if I was like, I would be running towards wherever my children were. I wouldn't be running away from them and trying to hide if there were gunshots.
Yeah.
At the time of the murders, there were questions as to if A would be charged as an adult or not. This article with info about the possible charges is from Living Snoqualmie. It says the teen's next court appearance is scheduled for 1:30 p.m. on Friday, October 25th at the Clark Child and Family Justice Center in Seattle. Prosecutors are working closely with investigators as they continue the legal process. In Washington state, cases involving 15-year-olds charged with aggravated first-degree murder are initially filed in juvenile court. However, prosecutors can request a hearing to determine whether the case should be moved to adult court. This decision requires a judge's approval after hearing arguments from both prosecutors and defense. If the case remains in juvenile court, the teen can only be held until the age of 25. If moved to adult court and convicted, the sentence would be 25 years to life with a presumption of release after 25 years, subject to review by the Indeterminate Sentence Review Board. That's obviously for one count of murder, I believe, too. So if he's been charged with 5 counts, his sentence would be longer as an adult. The teen will remain in juvenile detention and if still incarcerated at age 25, could be transferred to adult corrections. So after that October hearing, it was determined that another hearing should be held in June 2025 to determine if A should be tried as an adult. So obviously we're now at July. As far as I can tell, the June hearing didn't happen. This info is from Como News. It says a decline hearing date was not scheduled as anticipated during a status conference held in a Seattle courtroom. The defense told the judge it needs more time to collect evidence and do the analysis. A decline hearing determines whether a juvenile case should be transferred to the adult criminal court for trial or be handled within the juvenile court system. The King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office is seeking to move the case to adult court and indicated so last year. It goes on to say, while prosecutors have taken steps to do that, it's up to the judge to weigh the factors and determine after a decline hearing if the case will be moved to adult court. During the status hearing in June, the defense attorney told the judge that she could not provide a date to set a decline hearing. She said a lot of the information that is needed to analyze these factors is not available to us in this case, so I don't think that we can provide the court a definitive date today, especially knowing the reliance placed on that if we did to the community and the court. We've really tried to make that happen, but as the state indicated, there is a lot of ongoing investigation. So the King County Superior Court Chief Juvenile Judge Veronica Galvin called their response insufficient, and she pressed them for an explanation about such outstanding evidence and analysis. The defense attorney went on to say, there are specific factors that are required to analyze for this decline hearing, such as the strength of the state's evidence that would require us to have those materials in order to fully analyze and prepare for that hearing. The judge then said, I need you to tell me what it is that you're missing that makes it so hard you cannot go forward. I'm not asking to go forward with a trial. I understand there's still some investigation, but the factors in a decline hearing are not tied with some of the things that are being investigated. So I want to make sure we are not conflating the two. The prosecuting attorney, though, told the judge that the prosecution is ready to move forward with this hearing. The judge went on to say, if you can't give me a proposed date that the court feels is realistic and a year is not realistic, I'd made it very clear for a decline hearing, I will be giving you the date and I expect you to be ready on that date. In the absence of that, the court will impose one. So basically, this goes on and on. It says the judge set July 21st, which is just in this past week, as the deadline for the defense to file a brief, July 28th for the response for the prosecution, and if needed, August 4 for a response from the defense. The judge also set September 9th for the next status conference hearing for both parties. So they expect, apparently, after that the decline hearing date may commence at some point in September. It's a whole lot of legalese, I guess. But basically, one side, the defense aren't ready, the prosecution are ready. They're kind of arguing back and forth as to...
It's giving Brian Kober's defense.
Yeah, it seems very, very messy. So as we mentioned, even though the teen has been identified in these documents just recently, they spoke about him. It says the teen was in court during Tuesday's proceedings. He sat next to his attorneys. He remained quiet, was not asked any questions, and kept his gaze towards the judge's bench during the proceeding. The court has ordered that he not be identified. He's been held in juvenile detention. So I feel like it's kind of, this is shutting the gate after the horse is bolted, because he's named in all the legal documents, but we are just trying to abide by what the judge has just said to not identify him. This is a Reddit summary of all that legalese, which I found quite funny. Someone's like, what does this mean? And they wrote, too long, don't read. Today, the judge was pissed the defense wasn't ready to schedule the decline hearing, which is where the decision is made whether to try this kid as an adult, basically. And everything got kicked down the road for a few weeks or months. Earliest date for the decline hearing would be in September. So we will keep you posted when we do. I'll just double check there's not any other news before I go into this last bit. Yeah, so there aren't really any new articles. There was hardly any even news on the hearing that was held, I guess, because it was kind of a non-event. If something does happen in September, we'll keep you posted. There is a memorial website that's been established for the family called Help the Humiston-Ogden Family. And this is information from that. It says, as many of you know, Mark and Sarah Humiston and 3 of their 5 children recently passed away in a tragic incident that occurred in Falls City, Washington. B, their 11-year-old daughter, survived and will be cared for by Sarah's mother and brother, Catherine and Joseph Ogden. Mark and Sarah are wonderful people who made wise and thoughtful choices throughout their lives. Because of their prudence, B will eventually have access to funds to support her as she grows. However, the complexity of this situation is tremendous. Catherine and Joseph are handling this responsibility with admirable skill, all while providing B with the stability and love she needs. So they go on to say, this obviously was established right after the murders, so it's probably a little bit out of date in terms of what they needed money for, but this is still what it says. It says, in the immediate term, there are several pressing needs. The family hopes that any funds left by Mark and Sarah will go directly to support B's future. Many of you have expressed a desire to help financially, and there are significant expenses involved, including legal fees, funeral and burial expenses for 5 loved ones, along with the sudden and ongoing care for B. So they also speak about managing the estate of Mark and Sarah.
I wonder how that'll work with like the son, because is he in their will or anything? Like, can he use it for his legal fees? I'm assuming no, but I don't know how any of that works.
I'm assuming maybe there'd be some way they could fight to have the funds not go to the son at all. You know, like it does matter. They only speak about B in that website and talk about how, like, I'm assuming they had life insurance and they obviously have some money. Their house was worth a fair amount of money. They seem like they were relatively successful in their professional lives. So it seems like they have some money that will go to her maybe when she's 18 or 21. But I am also interested to know, like, what happens now with A. Is he going to be supported by the family? I did find it very interesting that they did list him in every single obituary. They listed him as surviving like all of them. I don't know. I guess that might be partly to do with them being so religious and about forgiveness and things like that as well.
Yeah, maybe. It does make me want to know more about the family because, like you said, I feel like since he is a minor, a lot of it, and they're still fighting about it, a lot of the information is still under wraps just because stuff like this always makes me feel very nosy, like with the Bever case. I know it took years, but eventually like a ton of information came out about that, just like about the kids, like what they were doing, what they were Googling online, what they were buying to prepare for it, like their attitudes and just like how they were in general. Always very curious. Was that a kookaburra?
Maybe it might be. I couldn't hear it, but maybe.
How
There's a ton of them around. Maybe I'm just deaf to them because I hear them all the time.
To it. But yeah, I do eventually hope that more comes out about just like the whole situation because it sounds shitty, but I'm just curious about stuff like that.
Yeah, this does seem to me in terms of like if we compare it to the Bever family, I feel like the Bevers planned theirs a lot. They bought all the stuff they needed. They planned what they were going to do for seemingly months. I know it's been a while now since we've covered that case, so I'm just trying to remember. But in this case, I feel like this kid was pissed off because his parents found out that he was watching porn. He was failing his schoolwork, so he knew where the gun was. So he just thought, hey, I'm going to do this and try and frame Benjamin. It was a much sloppier plan with really not much forethought given to it. Maybe he was just so arrogant that he thought he would get away with it, or so confident in himself that he would get away with it. But there are interesting parallels. Like homeschooled, were the children isolated? I know that others said they were often in the community riding bikes with other kids and things like that. But there are some interesting parallels between both cases.
Yeah, I guess it's just interesting to me, more so, I guess, with the Bevers because they planned it for so long. It's like, how long could he have been planning this while just living with his family, but being like, I'm going to murder all of them? It's so scary to think.
It's terrifying, really. Like, I know even as a mother, I'm assuming they would never have thought that this could happen. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been in the house. They would have gotten him some type of mental health help or something.
Or wouldn't have had access to a gun.
Yeah. There is a Como News special on this called The House on Lake Alice Road if you want to check it out and learn a little bit more. There's tons of photos of the family online. Their social media, I believe, is still up if you want to check it out. So just after we recorded the Humiston family episode, there was an update, which thankfully we can record before it goes to air. They have released some new court documents, which maybe shed a little bit more light on what was happening in the family. The defense have claimed that the Humiston family were paranoid of the government and medical professionals, especially related to COVID-19 and the vaccine. As we mentioned in our episode, all the kids were homeschooled, so it's kind of implied in the court documents that they were isolated. It says in the documents, a common theme that has been expressed amongst extended family, neighbours, and those who knew the family is that the children were isolated from the outside world and did not engage socially with many peers, only a select few families that went to their church and that were friends of the family. Furthermore, initial reports indicate the home was abusive, tightly controlled, and dominated by extreme religious beliefs. The documents also allege that children were given access to firearms and were raised under a rigid militant survivalist ideology. Interestingly, the children's maternal grandmother has come forward and has basically admitted that Sarah was abusive towards her children. She said she was abusive and demeaning towards the children. She apparently threatened to report her daughter if the abuse didn't stop. The defense has said of the 15-year-old, basically everyone we have spoken to describes him as kind, respectful, and deeply devoted to his family. The defense has identified 98 witnesses they need to speak to as part of their case. As of July 21st, they have only interviewed 22 of them. The defense is pushing for the decline hearing to be in October 2026. So it was meant to be in September this year. They are now asking for more than an extra year. I am interested to see if there is any validity to these claims. I wouldn't be shocked if there is.
Yeah, it's coming from the defense, but it does seem plausible.
It does seem like, obviously we know they were homeschooled. I know that means different things for different people, but maybe their kids were being isolated. Obviously, we know that the 15-year-old had access to the firearm, so that part is true. Maybe the other children knew it as well. I don't know, but it's an interesting update.
It's kind of what I suspected from hearing what we talked about previously before this update, because I even talked about how it reminded me of the Bever family in a way, which seems a little similar. because they were very strict like that as well. But yeah, I mean, it seems definitely like it's possible that's true.
So, yeah, like I know obviously the defense does need a defense, but it is interesting that the maternal grandmother has come forward in support of the alleged murderer and kind of against her deceased daughter. She said that her daughter was abusive. I feel like sometimes the remaining family do try and hold on to the relationship with the perpetrator because that's all they've got left. I don't know. It'll be interesting just to see what else comes out as this case progresses and if they were abusive. And obviously, it doesn't excuse what he did, especially towards the brothers and sisters, but it might explain more as to what actually happened and caused this horrific incident to happen.
Yeah, I agree. The grandmother definitely makes it a bit more believable, and it's not like the defense can just like totally blatantly lie anyways. They have to have some backup
some
to what they're saying.
Unless you're Brian Koberger and you're just stargazing. I don't think I'll ever get over that.
Yeah, I know. So ridiculous.
So as we mentioned, he is apparently due back in court in September. I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't go ahead, although the judge does seem adamant that it will. So we're now at the end of July recording this. This will probably come out in August. So we will keep you updated. If we hear, I would suspect he will probably be charged as an adult. Like what he did was a truly heinous crime. He didn't just kill his parents. He then went out of his way to kill his younger siblings as well. My prediction, just based on the case and what I've read so far, is that he will likely be tried as an adult.
Yeah, so there'll probably be more information then.
Yeah, I believe once they do decide that, then that's when they release more about the case. And it sounds like it's going to trial either way, so maybe we will find out more about the motivations. If there was more going on at home than just him being caught watching pornography, we might find out more once the court proceedings begin.
So everything will be on the blog at truecrimesocietyblog.com. Like we mentioned, that article and the actual affidavit we have linked on there if you want to check them out. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at True Crime Society. My Instagram, sorry, I'm like half paying attention to myself. My Instagram is StephSum_ if you want to see what I'm up to. Olivia is still...
Don't worry about mine because I still don't have one.
Yeah. Olivia is still in meta purgatory, prison, jail.
Yeah, probably will be forever. Yeah.
Maybe by the time this comes out, there'll be an update. I feel like we say that every episode and then I edit it and I'm like, oh, still no update on that.
Make sure you follow us on Reddit because we will definitely be safe there, probably, hopefully.
Yeah, so we have a subreddit. Check us out on there. We're going to start trying to post to it more since we can't trust Meta. And a lot of people do use Reddit. Like I use Reddit all the time. Yeah. I just never really used it from a posting side, more like a reading side.
Yeah, I've always been like, I go on Reddit often and read, but lately, since I'm not on anything else, I have been posting a little bit too. So yeah, it's a much freer platform with less constraints about what you can post and say.
Yeah. So check us out on there. Also check us out on Patreon if you want more content from us. We do weekly bonus episodes, so you get 2 episodes a week, all ad-free. And we release the main episode a day earlier as well. We also have some fun like book club chats and send pictures. We send pictures. I send pictures of Peep, see what she's up to, which is usually trouble.
When the Brian Koberger documents came out too, we had a really good chat ongoing there. Like people were, because there was like 315 documents, which we'll do another episode on. But like people were like, did you see this? Did you see this? Like we had a really good chat going. It's good for kind of live chat scenarios as well.
Yeah, so and we're hoping to do more on there as well. So check us out on Patreon. And then all the usual stuff you can share to your Instagram stories, like show us what you guys are doing while you're listening to the podcast. We love to reshare them, see what everyone's hobbies are, get in the Spotify comments and fight with anyone who's rude or just have some nice chats with everyone. We love to see what you guys are talking about on there.
There was one other funny comment on Spotify I didn't mention to you. So someone... like obviously we've mentioned in the past how people comment like you guys talk too much and everyone's like check the timestamps. Someone commented in the last few weeks on one of the episodes, and then another comment I saw, someone came back today and was like, I haven't listened to this podcast for 16 months. I'm just tuning back in and people are still complaining about this. Like he's like, check the timestamps.
Yeah, because I'm not even gonna get.
I feel like it's way less now.
But
now that we've carried on about it for a long time, I feel like it is actually happening a lot less. People know about the timestamps now, so that's a good thing.
I think that like so many podcasts I listen to do the timestamps, that should just be something that people are starting to know, that like a lot of podcasts have timestamps and time markers for things. So, and if you don't, here I am telling you, if you're still listening. But yeah, I don't even know where I left off. So thank you guys for listening. We love you guys. Stay safe out there. Peace out.
See ya.